Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Restricted Republic. My name is Justus Knight. Can't thank you enough for being here. This two-part broadcast today, we're going to start with Tucker Carlson. A statement he made on Fox News last night, taking a direct shot into the Fox News family feud. Now, did he just end his career with Fox News? Should we start the counter of how long it's going to take for them to terminate him? The statement's so bold, so strong, so necessary that it begs the question. Tucker's a very smart man. He knows exactly what he's doing. Does he have something else waiting in the wings that's even better for him than Fox News? Before we get there, if you haven't subscribed to me here on YouTube, I certainly hope you will. Make sure your bell is checked so you're alerted to upcoming broadcasts. Please share this video far and wide. It's really and truly the best way to grow, and it's hard to grow here at YouTube recently. That's why we created RestrictedRepublic.com, so we can give you more extended versions and information that's just simply not allowed or won't adhere to advertiser or community standards. Right now, 14 days free simply for joining. Also, look at the little white hand next to me. Click on subscribe, and again, make sure that bell is checked. But now let's get back to this broadcast.
In a democracy, you cannot ignore honest questions from citizens. You're not allowed. You can't dismiss them out of hand as crazy or immoral for asking. You can't just cut away from coverage you don't like. You can't simply tell people to accept an outcome, because force doesn't work in a democracy. That's dictatorship. In a free society, you have to convince the public of your legitimacy. You have to win them over with reason. Democracy is always a voluntary arrangement. Telling voters to shut up is never enough.
Now, for those of you that were watching Fox News last night, you'd realize the key statement that Tucker just said is you can't just cut away from coverage you don't like. He was referencing Neil Cavuto specifically, and more than likely direction that Neil Cavuto was given by Fox News to cut away from what Fox News deemed inappropriate or unvalidated information. Let me play you a clip from Kayleigh McEnany while she was speaking, and a direct cutaway from that coverage.
We want every legal vote to be counted, and we want every illegal vote to be...
I just think we have to be very clear. She's charging, the other side is welcoming fraud and welcoming illegal voting. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue showing you this. I want to make sure that maybe they do have something to back that up, but that's an explosive charge to make. So far, she has started saying right at the outset, welcoming fraud, welcoming illegal voting. Not so fast.
So there's the transition that Tucker Carlson was directly discussing. Obviously, Fox News taking a very strong position, as they have multiple times now. It's not the Fox News that you and I used to love and adore anymore. Fox News has now gone into the wastebasket with the other mainstream media. And everybody has to be very cognizant that this complete shift has happened. The entire paradigm has changed, and it's not going to go back anymore. It's why Lisa and I created Restricted Republic to begin with. We saw this coming many, many, many moons ago. And now you see why we created the platform we did, to protect you and allow you to get the information you deserve in the format you deserve. Remembering this all started on election night, Fox News star questions Fox News early Arizona call for Biden. I'll play you a clip here also so you can listen in, just so you never forget what started this Fox family feud and the landslide into making Fox News just another, well, lamestream media news source.
But what is this happening here? Why is Arizona blue? Did we just call it? Did we make a call in Arizona?
Well, let's see.
Now, there's a check mark. Did our decision desk make it? Arizona.
I just want to cut in here for a moment. With everything being as scripted as it is on nightly news, for a moment, do you believe that any of the correspondents on that stage did not know that Arizona had been called, that they just saw it on a map when they're all guided by teleprompters and earpieces that somebody didn't tell them we just called it? It's that moment that you must truly gain the gravity of what Fox News did there, in my humble opinion, of course.
11 electoral votes?
Yes, we can...
Okay, if that's the case, then guys, When we come back, we'll fill this in. If you lose Arizona, where do you win now? You got to win up here in Wisconsin and Michigan. And
so we're going to stop there. And the danger in what they did there, and the danger in what the polls have done. And I'm not a fan of the polls at all. I don't think the polls should exist, because if you convince somebody that your candidate's not winning by a wide enough margin, all the money to help that candidate disappears. If you can prop up a candidate within a very small margin through polls, they gain more money and more momentum and more ability to fight their challenger. I'm not a fan of any electronic voting at all. I'm not a fan of polls at all. Those would both disappear under a justice presidency immediately, because all I care about is election integrity. My focus here isn't on who won or lost. My focus is on, did the right person win or lose based on the votes and the electoral college votes of the American people. When you have activities, as we've been covering, being very careful to cover, but that's not all. To further round off the Fox News position on what's happening with them as a network, listen in here to what a hot mic caught Sandra Smith saying off camera shows you exactly what's going on behind the scenes.
Remember, just because CNN says, or even Fox News says that somebody's president doesn't make them president. So I think everybody wants to know that this was done properly and legally.
What is happening? Trace, we've called it.
And I think we have to look into everyone to know that this was done properly and legally.
What is happening? Trace, we've called it.
And I think we have.
Very unique face, to say the very least. But anyway, that was caught on hot mic. So I think I've rounded off your understanding of what's happened now with Fox News as they made this transition. But now let's bring it back to Tucker Carlson, who, by the way, in that statement, if you listen to the entire thing, actually said in so many words that all he cares about is honesty and integrity. In many ways, he doesn't believe that Trump may prove enough alleged fraud to change the election results. That's what would happen if you actually listen to the entire broadcast. But Tucker Carlson, again, a very intelligent man, more than likely hedging his bets, knowing exactly what was going to happen. If you saw his face when he was cutting away to commercial, you'd see the very impression of, well, something's different. He's upset. He's angry. This family feud is most likely going to impact his future at the network, but is there something else? Now, I'm not going to take what the Lincoln Project says for any validity, except they put out one very enticing rumor, of course. That founder says Fox News' Tucker Carlson is frontrunner for 2024 GOP nomination. Now, I struggle with the Lincoln Project, not truly believing it is the conservative group that they say they are. Time, of course, will tell. If you go through the headlines, you know that they are never Trumpers there without a question. You could just look through Steve Schmidt. Trump is the worst president the country's ever had. He's calling for the election to be called very early on. That was about 3 days ago. The co-founders of, again, the Lincoln Project co-founder calls Republicans casting doubt on election results a disgrace. When anybody should value integrity in election, Al Gore himself during his election just simply saying, I don't care who wins, we just have to preserve the process. I guess that time is long past now, and we no longer have to preserve the integrity. That's all any of us would hope for, no matter what the final result is. Happy about it or not. But is there a second plan outside of Tucker Carlson potentially running for president in 2024? By the way, he would have my support. I saw Candace Owens on the news with him yesterday, and I'm like, that would be a perfect president and vice president that I would support 1,000,000%. Or is it the other picture, the Trump TV story back in the news again? You heard this back in 2016. Trump TV is Plan B, how an election loss could win big. Now, in a lot of ways, we understand Trump loves social media. Trump loves to get his message out there. Trump has realized and spoken about mainstream media and all its evils for pretty much his entire presidency. He would be the one, in my opinion, who would launch a counter news station, bringing over your Sean Hannity's, your Tucker Carlson's, and all those who've fallen out of mainstream media, realizing it's not the system they want to operate in anymore. This is an older story, but once again being brought up. This is from 2016, by the way. Trump's impending defeat is leading to a chorus of media speculation about his post-election plans. The two most often cited assumptions are Trump will not quietly fade into the background. Trump will eventually launch a Trump TV media venture. After speaking with a well-informed Trump insider, name asked to be withheld, I can confirm that both assumptions are true. So let's take a deeper dive. Well, here we don't need to take a deeper dive. Right now, we were just going to say very surface level as we transition this story now into what's occurring in every state to information that simply I know I'll trip on some standards somewhere. So we're going to move this portion of the broadcast over to Restricted Republic. Right now, join us there, 14 days free. But keep in the back of your mind that no matter what happens here throughout whatever result comes out, we and the American people, we the people, should only care about the integrity of an election. We may be upset about who is chosen. We have to remember the bigger picture, how much Georgia now comes into play, what has happened with the state legislatures alone that really in many ways, so far, depending on the Georgia Senate race, Joe Biden is a one-off win. That's the important portion of the election process. We must remember the people did speak, but it's not what you're hearing on mainstream news. That isn't the actual result. That's the result of one person that still isn't decided and shouldn't be decided. It's why you won't hear us here use the term president-elect, not until the Electoral College votes, because there is a process. There is allowed legal challenges. There is recounts. There's too much to consider to simply sit here, or for anybody to sit here in front of you and think that they have the power and pretense to give you any information as to who should be considered president-elect with so much going on. And you're going to see that here in just a few minutes. So thank you again for joining. I certainly hope you'll subscribe to the station. Again, the white hand's marking that. I hope you'll go over to Restricted Republic where we'll just let all the information flow out. You'll see it's a completely different format and style, something that you deserve, something that you need, because now Fox News and their family feud has proven that mainstream media will become a one-sided news source. So if you want a more well-rounded opinion, Restricted Republic will give you that now, 14 days free. Get over there, check it out. I know once you go there, you ain't going to go anywhere else. So Godspeed and God bless. Until next time, Justus Knight signing out.